first thing I want to talk about is Black Doom. So with the first bit of the trailer, we see Shadow's origin on the space colony arc from his original game, and the design that we see is also in the Sonic Generations art design for the characters. It also seems like Black Doom got a new design as well, instead of them importing the design that they had from Shadow the Hedgehog. It's also really nice that we see Eggman's voice actor being the voice actor for Gerald Robotnik in this game, and it also seems like we're getting Sean Schemmel back as Black Doom as well. However, it does sound like him, but it might not be him. It also seems like Shadow doesn't get stuck in white space when the time meter takes him at the start of Sonic Generations. I think in this scene there are scenes before it where Shadow's walking around trying to find everyone. However, I could be entirely wrong, but that could be the case. And I think while he's walking in white space, Black Doom gets taken from the timeline and gets put in white space where Shadow is. And this is a part of my theory where Shadow doesn't get stuck in white space after being taken by the time meter, but instead he just gets put in another part of the white space area. That's why he's roaming around here in white space on his own, by the way, and not with Sonic or Classic Sonic or any of the other characters that aren't stuck in white space like Eggman or Classic Eggman. And after your encounter with Black Doom in Sonic X Shadow Generations, that's when you get put into the first level of Shadow's story. We know because of the trailer Black Doom it's definitely taken from the past because of what Shadow says in this scene. And in this scene he does say that he has already beaten him before, which does imply he has been taken by the Time Eater from the events of Shadow the Hedgehog. We also see that he's being taken throughout time from the Sonic games such as Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic 06 most notably. There also seems to have a Sonic Frontiers type level as well in Shadow's story. The next part of the trailer is where we see Shadow have wings, and I would assume that's from Black Doom's creatures, and so he uses those to beat Black Doom, and this seems like this would be one of the bosses in the game. Next we see Mephiles. He's back. Yeah, it seems like we're taken back to the fight in Sonic 06. So the events of Sonic 06 did happen within the current Sonic continuity, which means that Mephiles is definitely canon to the story, and we might see him later down the line in another game at some point. We also get some 2D levels like from Sonic Forces, and we're also taken to a cutscene that looks exactly like Sonic Forces. So we're going throughout multiple different games in this trailer. There also appears to be a level in white space where you're taking on Black Doom's army, which does seem to be quite nice. It also does open up white space as an area that we haven't really seen before from the original Sonic Generations. We also get to see Metal Overlord in this game, so we're also taken back to Sonic Heroes as well. Shadow just gets taken to the past multiple different times and probably isn't able to control this. It's just Black Doom and the Time Eater's doing, so he doesn't get involved in stopping the Time Eater and Eggman. So Shadow has zero control of what happens, and it's all on the Time Eater. The Time Eater controls everything that Shadow does here in this game, and I think after every level you get put into a cutscene where you just see all of Shadow's memories from every event that he's ever been a part of in the Sonic games, which will give us some new cutscenes probably of some older games. At the very end of the trailer we get to see Maria and Gerald Robotnik, so that gets me to believe that this could be the final boss in the game where you have to save or put Maria back in the timeline, which probably does happen at some point. Then maybe we get to see Super Shadow. We probably do because it's Black Doom and Mephiles, so we probably do see Super Shadow at some point in this game, and that's how Shadow has a Chaos Emerald. So that's everything we got from the trailer. But what do I actually think's going on here? Well, there's a lot going on. They could be pulling a Marvel here and just putting different events in the trailer, but they don't actually happen in that order, which could also mean we don't see Maria at the end, and that's at the very start or in the middle of the game. We could have any of these things happening at any point within Sonic X Shadow Generations. So when's the Mephiles boss fight? The Metal Overlord boss fight? Well, I think we would go from game to game considering Shadow's being taken to the past, which therefore means that we see Maria at the very start, because that's the first part of Shadow's origin, is him being taken out of the capsule that he's in and then being sent off to Earth, which I think we see first. And the ending where we see Maria in the trailer, I genuinely think that's the first thing he sees in white space. I could be entirely wrong, but I would say that's what it is. I wouldn't expect Sonic Team to be using Mephiles if he's not the final boss, or at least he's a very key part of Shadow's story in this game, which is why we see him again. It's because it's necessary that Shadow fights Mephiles so the Time Eater can have more time to plot his plan with Eggman. And I think at the end of Shadow's story, that's when he's taken back to the ending of Sonic Generations, and we then find out how Shadow got back from being stuck in the timeline by the Time Eater. So at the very end of Shadow's story, we'll see him come back from wherever he is in the timeline and then appear at the very end of the boss fight. And we might even get to fight Sonic at some point in the game as well. We could also see the Chaos Blast scene from Sonic 06 in the Mephiles boss fight, or we see Super Shadow beat Mephiles. I could be wrong, I could be right. There's so much going on in this trailer where it's hard to determine where everything takes place, but I would assume the easiest answer is that the events of the games happen in order. So Mephiles is in the middle, and we might actually get to see him at the end of the game as well against Black Doom, which I would assume he is the final boss fight, obviously Black Doom, and that's the end of his story. But we could also see Mephiles appear in that boss fight as well against Shadow with Black Doom taken from the timeline. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. I know this video has been really short. There wasn't really much to go off of in this trailer. There is a lot more in the other trailers, but other people have already explained them, and this one's just about Shadow, and that's why I made it. I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.